All right, welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to talk about renewable energy. But here's the thing. We're not going to treat it like some shiny new piece of tech. Instead, I want you to think of it as, well, an ancient partnership, a kind of friendship between us and the natural world that we're just now starting to remember.
Okay, so to really get into this, let's start with a cool idea. What if renewable energy could actually speak? What would it say? I think it would tell us that it's always been here, you know? It's that invisible push against your back when the wind blows, that gentle warmth of the sun on your skin. It's a force we've always known, long before we ever came up with a name for it. And that friendship, it goes way, way back. I mean, long before we even dreamed of power grids or flicking a light switch, we were already working side by side with nature. So let's jump in our time machine for a second.
Yeah, and what's so cool about this is just how practical it all was. I mean, think about it. Way back around 200 BCE, you had the Greeks and Romans figuring out how to use the power of a river to turn these huge wheels just to grind grain into flour. Fast forward a few centuries, and people are using windmills to do the same thing and to pump water. And the sun. That was our first oven, right? Making mud bricks, drying out food so it would last through the winter. It was this perfect, harmonious way of using the power that was all around us. But then, everything changed. The Industrial Revolution hit, and we found this new kind of energy, one that was hidden deep underground. It was incredibly powerful, super concentrated, and, well, it kind of put our old friendship with nature on hold. And this really gets to the core of it, right? The fundamental difference. On one side, you've got renewable energy. Think sun, wind, water, stuff that's basically endless. It just keeps coming back. And on the other side, you've got the non-renewables, fossil fuels. We're talking coal, oil, gas. This stuff took millions of years to form from ancient plants and animals, and we're burning through it in the blink of an eye, way faster than it could ever be replaced. But you know, even as the whole world got hooked on fossil fuels, that old friendship with nature never completely faded away. There were these few really curious inventors who started looking back. They started asking, hey, wait a minute, could these ancient natural forces actually power our new modern world? And here you can really see that spark of genius. Get this. In 1883, a guy named Charles Fritz literally figured out how to capture a sunbeam. He made the world's first solar cell. I mean, what an incredible breakthrough. And then, just 4 years later, a Scottish academic, James Blythe, sees the wind whipping around his cottage and thinks, I can use that. So he builds the first wind turbine to make electricity, and it actually powered the lights in his house. These guys were single-handedly reigniting that ancient partnership. So that begs the question, right? How did we go from one guy lighting up his cottage to powering entire cities? Well, we took those early sparks of genius from people like Fritz and Blythe, and we scaled them up. I mean, we scaled them up in ways they probably couldn't even imagine. We're now turning wind, sun, and even the heat from inside the Earth into the energy that fuels our entire modern world. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of a modern wind turbine. It's wild. The tower alone can be over 300 feet tall, and each one of those blades longer than 100 feet. These things are just massive, graceful machines, all designed for one simple purpose, to catch the wind. So, how does it actually work? Okay, the simplest way to wrap your head around it is this. A wind turbine is basically the opposite of a fan, right? A fan uses electricity to make wind. A turbine uses wind to make electricity. The wind spins those giant blades, the blades turn a shaft inside, that shaft connects to a generator, and boom, you've got electricity. It's really that simple and that brilliant. All right, so from wind, let's talk about solar. And solar is, without a doubt, the most abundant energy source we have. To put it in perspective, get this. In just an hour and a half, the sun beams down enough energy onto the Earth's surface to power all of humanity for an entire year. The big challenge has always just been, how do we catch it?
So, how do you turn pure sunlight into electricity? Well, think of a solar panel kind of like a special kind of surface. When the sunlight hits that surface, it literally knocks electrons loose inside the material. It gets them all excited and moving, creating this flow of energy, kind of like a current in a river. And that flow, that's electricity. Electricity we can use to power pretty much anything. Okay, but here's the catch with wind and solar, right? The wind doesn't always blow, and the sun definitely doesn't shine at night. And that's exactly why having a mix of different power sources is so incredibly important, which brings us from the sky to deep, deep underground. Let's talk about geothermal energy. And the name tells you everything you need to know. It comes from the Greek geo for earth and therme for heat. We're literally tapping into the constant massive heat at the center of our own planet, a furnace that can get as hot as 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And you'd be surprised at all the different things we do with that heat. I mean, yeah, of course, we use it to make electricity and power plants, but we also use it to directly heat our homes and buildings. We use it to help crops grow faster in greenhouses, to pasteurize milk, and even to create those amazing, relaxing mineral hot tubs at spas. It's kind of like we're channeling the ancient Romans, but with modern tech. And finally, we have hydropower, harnessing the raw, immense power of moving water. When we build a dam, what we're really doing is creating a giant controlled waterfall. Then we channel all that force through turbines to generate incredible amounts of electricity. And if you want to know just how powerful it is, just look at Canada. Hydropower provides the electricity for 6 out of every 10 homes there. That's huge.
Okay, so where does all this leave us today? Well, what we're seeing isn't just a story about some new tech. This is a massive global shift. You could say that the story of our friendship with renewable energy, well, it's just getting to the most exciting part. You know what they say, money talks. And in 2025, it was practically screaming. A record-shattering $2.2 trillion was invested around the world in the clean energy transition. That is just a staggering amount of commitment. In this chart puts it all into perspective. The tipping point is here. For every $1 invested in fossil fuels, $2 were invested in clean power. Let that sink in. We are now officially investing twice as much in our future as we are in the energy of the past. And because of this incredible momentum, the world is actually on track to hit a huge goal that was set at the COP28 climate conference, to triple the world's clean power capacity by 2030. Something that sounded almost impossibly ambitious just a few years ago is now actually within our grasp. And you know, the real beauty of this whole shift is that it's happening at every single level. We're talking about massive solar farms that can power an entire community, all the way down to a single family putting panels on their roof. It's a transformation that empowers absolutely everyone. So, here we are. That ancient partnership we had with the sun, the wind, the earth, the water, it's been rediscovered. It's been totally reimagined for our modern world. And this story is far from over. In fact, the most important chapters are being written as we speak. So the only real question left is, what part will you play in writing the next one?